Hello and welcome to the final edition of Reading Shakespeare with Cats. I'm Mr. Level. These are my cats and these are my brides. Let me see if I can get them up to where they belong here. Places, everyone. Today we are reading the final scenes of Macbeth. It's Act 5, Scenes 6, 7, and 8. We'll get started, so open up your books. We begin with drum and colors. How's it going, Tank? Yeah. Enter Tank, Malcolm, Seward, Macduff, and their army with bows. Oh, what a tough army. They got a bunch of branches. Malcolm says, "Now near enough. Your leafy screens throw down and show like those you are." Remember last scene that we saw them, they were cutting down boughs so that they could hide the number of soldiers that were approaching. And in doing so, they fulfilled one of the prophecies from the witches. "You, worthy uncle, shall with my cousin, your right noble son, lead our first battle. Worthy Macduff and we shall take upon us what else remains to do, according to our order. Fare you well. Do we but find the tyrant's power tonight, let us be beaten if we cannot fight." Macduff says, "Make all our trumpets speak, give them all breath, those clamorous harbingers of blood and death." A harbinger is something that signals something approaching, something that's coming. And so the trumpets that are about to, blow right here, like doo-doo-doo-doo, signaling the battle that's coming, are harbingers of blood and death. That's what's going to follow. I also kind of think it's funny that Malcolm gets to this battle that's supposed to end with him being crowned King of Scotland. And who does he say should lead the battle? Oh, the English guy. Kind of funny. They exit. Alarums continue. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Enter Macbeth. "They have tied me to a stake. I cannot fly, but bear-like I must fight the course. What's he that was not born of woman? Such a one am I to fear, or none." So he makes a comparison to what's called bear baiting. Bear baiting was a practice where they took a bear, chained him to a stake, and then they sent in dogs, usually, to fight the bear, and they gambled on it. That was just sort of a form of entertainment at the time. But here, Macbeth feels like he is like the bear, that he's been chained to the stake. He cannot fly, he can't flee anywhere, but bear-like, he must fight the course. I think similar to the bear, he might see himself as more powerful than any of the others individually, yet he does still feel trapped and confined in this moment. And then he reminds himself, what's he that was not born of woman? Such a one am I to fear, or none. So I'm not supposed... That doesn't sound good. I'm not supposed to be afraid of anyone. Kitties, that was bad. I'm not supposed to be afraid of anyone except he who was not born from woman. Oh, great. I hope you make yourself sick. Enter young Seward. "What is thy name?" "Thou wilt be afraid to hear it." "No, though thou callest thyself a hotter name than any is in hell." "My name's Macbeth." "The devil himself could not pronounce a title more hateful to mine ear." Ouch! Young Seward hates Macbeth more than he hates the devil. "No, nor more fearful." "Thou liest, abhorred tyrant. With my sword I'll prove the lie thou speakest." The lie is that Macbeth is more fearful to him, that young Seward is afraid of Macbeth. This is some great smack talk back and forth. And young Seward does prove that this is a lie by fighting him. They fight, ching, 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 and young Seward is slain. "Thou wast born of woman." Ouch! He just killed the kid. I think he's like a teenager or something. It kills young Seward, and then basically hawks a loogie on his chest when he says, "Thou wast born of woman. Obviously, you can't hurt me. But swords I smile at, weapons laugh to scorn, brandished by man that's of a woman born." Swords I smile at. So he smiles at swords. He laughs at weapons as long as they're being brandished or held by someone who was born from a woman. Macbeth is feeling pretty invincible. He exits. There are alarums. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Enter Macduff. That way the noises. "Tyrant, show thy face. If thou beest slain, and with no stroke of mine, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. I cannot strike at wretched kerns, whose arms are hired to bear their staves. Either thou, Macbeth, or else my sword with an unbattered edge I sheathe again, undeeded." What he means here when he talks about kerns and gallows glasses were referenced all the way back in Act 1, Scene 2. Kerns are hired soldiers, and that's who Macbeth has fighting for him right now, is some hired soldiers. And Macduff is saying, I can't strike at them because they're just hired to fight here. They're not actually defending Macbeth. They're not really fighting for his cause. So he puts his sword away and says, I won't strike at anyone unless it's Macbeth. Either Macbeth or else my sword with an unbattered edge. His sword will be perfect condition still. He's going to sheathe it undeeded. There thou shouldest be. By this great clatter, one of greatest notes seems bruited. Let me find him fortune, and more I beg not. So he hears noise. He hears some clatter off in the distance and realizes that's where he must be. And then he begs fortune, please let me find him. It's sort of like Inigo Montoya in the forest looking for the man in black. He asks his father's guidance and doink, hits the sword right into a tree. But then the tree opens a door and, he goes and finds him. Macduff exits. Alarums. Enter Malcolm and Seward. This way, my lord. The castle's gently rendered. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. The day almost itself professes yours, and little is to do. We have met with foes that strike beside us. Enter, sir, the castle. So they're about to enter the castle. They've taken the castle pretty easily, is what they're saying. The day is gently rendered. It's been a gentle fight so far. And ultimately, when he says the tyrant's people on both sides do fight, that means that the people who are opposing them are turning and fighting with them in the process. They exit. Alarum. Enter Macbeth. Why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword? While as I see lives, the gashes do better upon them. What he's asking about is suicide. He says, why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword? In ancient Rome, soldiers, when defeated, especially when a general was defeated, it was seen as the only honorable thing to do was to kill himself by falling on his own sword, propping it up against his chest and thrusting himself onto it. Macbeth sees that as foolish. Why would I do that? While I see lives, the gashes do better upon them. He likes it better if the gashes are on someone else than on himself. Enter Macduff. Turn, hellhound, turn. Of all men else I have avoided thee. But get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. Ooh, is that the ultimate smack talk line? Like, oh, I've kind of killed a lot of Macduffs lately, don't want to get any more Macduff blood on my sword. Or is it genuine sympathy? Is he feel perhaps bad for what he's done? But get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. I don't know. Up to the interpretation of the director and the actor as they perform those lines. I have no words. My voice is in my sword, thou bloodier villain than terms can give thee out. Macbeth is a bloodier villain than any words that Macduff could call him. They fight. There's an alarm. Thou losest labor. As easy mayest thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. Okay, so Macbeth tells him, you're wasting your labor, you're wasting your efforts. As easy mayest thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress. What is the entrenchant air? The invulnerable. It is unable to be cut. Okay, so the air which you cannot cut. You could just as easily hurt the air as you could hurt me, as you could make me bleed. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. Go take your blade to someone who actually is fallible. Hurt them. Because I bear a charmed life and am not going to die to anyone who was of woman born. Despair thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. What? What does that mean? Macduff was born from C-section. He was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. Therefore, he was not born of woman. I mean, I guess. If anyone out there was born from a C-section, I think you were born. I think you were born from a woman. I think that you do get to celebrate birthdays. But I think what they're talking about here is that technically Macduff did not pass through the birth canal. And in the witch's tricky language apparently means that he was not of woman born. Therefore, oh no, Macbeth might be in some trouble. And by the way, the angel whom thou still hast served, I think it would be referring to the fallen angel, which would be Lucifer, the devil. Let him tell you that Macduff is not of woman born. Accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. Cowed is used as a verb here. You notice the root, though, it's based on the word coward. So what has it done to Macbeth? It has nothing to do with moo. It has everything to do with it's making him feel like a coward to hear that news. He's no longer feeling so manly as he hears that. And be these juggling fiends no more believed that palter with us in a double sense, that keep the word of promise to our ear and break it to our hope. I'll not fight with thee. If only it was that simple, like, oh, time out. Yeah, no, I don't want to fight you. Never mind. Yeah, I don't think Macbeth has that choice here. But going back to what he said, he also pointed out these juggling fiends. That would be the witches. And he's complaining about their ability to equivocate, that they could keep the word of promise to his ear. Technically, the language was, the promise was kept there, but it broke it to his hope. Okay, it misled him to thinking something else. It's exactly what they said that they would do. I'll not fight with thee. Then yield thee, coward, and live to be the show and gaze of the time. We'll have thee, as our rarer monsters are, painted upon a pole, and under writ, here may you see the tyrant. Oh my, what does it sound like they're going to do? Without looking at your sideline, you might think, like, what did Macduff say that they're going to do to Macbeth there? My first impression was that they were going to take Macbeth and put his head on a pole and have, and underneath that, it was going to say, here may you see the tyrant. But the sideline really disappoints. It says, painted upon a pole means they were going to have his picture painted and displayed on a pole for a sideshow. And then they were going to put a sign underneath. So they're going to paint a picture of Macbeth and write, here's a tyrant, and they're just going to show that out there. I think Macbeth should take this deal. It's not a bad deal. It's not really that bad at all. But of course, I think they actually would still execute him. Macbeth says, I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet and to be baited with the rabble's curse. Though Burnham would be come to Dunsinane, and thou opposed, being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold, enough. So no, Macbeth's not going to do that. He's not going to bow to kiss the feet of Malcolm. He's not going to be baited by the rabble, by the people who are yelling at him and shouting at him that he's a tyrant and so forth. He is going to continue to fight to the very last, even though the prophecy has come true. And damned be him that first cries, hold, enough. The first one who gives up and says, oh, uncle, ow, that hurts. He should be damned. He should go to hell. They exit fighting. Then there's alarms. Then they enter fighting. And then Macbeth is slain. Oh no, or oh yay. Macduff exits carrying off Macbeth's body. There's a retreat and flourish, more trumpets. Enter the drum and colors. Dum, 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 dum. Malcolm, Seward, Ross, Thanes, and soldiers. I would the friends we miss were safe arrived. Some must go off, and yet by these I see so great a day as this is cheaply bought. Seward is noting that, you know what, we didn't lose that many people. It's a pretty cheaply bought victory. Macduff is missing. And your noble son. Ross, by the way, he just is sitting there like, oh yeah, got some news to provide. Your son, my lord, has paid a soldier's debt. He only lived but till he was a man. The which no sooner had his prowess confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, but like a man he died. Then he is dead? Aye, and brought off the field. So Ross apparently was like hanging out with these guys during the battle, somehow knew that, the son of Seward was dead and just, oh yeah, figured, oh yeah, just throw that in there. Your cause of sorrow must not be measured by his worth, for then it hath no end. Had he his hurts before? Aye, on the front. What Seward is asking is, where are his hurts, his injuries? Were his wounds on the front or on the back? And Ross confirms they were on the front. This is going to make a big difference to a guy like Seward. Why then, God's soldier be he. Had I as many sons as I have hairs, I would not wish them to a fairer death. And so his knell is knolled. He's taking it really well. He says, well, that's pretty good. It's a good death if he got killed in the front. It means he wasn't running away. He wasn't a coward. He died like a man. And so he says, if I had as many sons as I have hairs on my head, then I couldn't think of a better death for any of them. Malcolm says, he's worth more sorrow, and that I'll spend for him. He's worth no more. They say he parted well and paid his scores, and so God be with him. Again, he's taking it remarkably well that his son just got killed. Here comes newer comfort. Enter Macduff with Macbeth's head. Here's the comfort. He's got his head up here. They actually performed this at Liberty once, and apparently in the props section they had a Macbeth head for years later. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe we still have a head of Macbeth back there. Hail, King, for so thou art. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. The time is free. I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl, that speak my salutation in their minds, whose voices I desire aloud with mine. Hail, King of Scotland. And then everyone says, Hail, King of Scotland, because when a guy holding a head says that, you just kind of go along with it. I think that also shows us that Macbeth was killed, not by chopping off his head, but then Macduff went and decided, I'm going to chop this guy's head off. So he apparently still had some anger issues to work out there. Flourish, meaning more trumpets. Doo, 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 doo. And now Malcolm gets to give his first speech as king. We shall not spend a large expense of time before we reckon with your several loves and make us even with you. He's thanking those who helped him to gain back his throne. My thanes and kinsmen, henceforth be earls, the first that ever Scotland in such an honor named. So all the thanes, he just named them earls. He took the whole class of thanes and promoted them simultaneously to earls, which means it's not really much of a promotion if everyone moves up together, but now they're called earls. Okay. What's more to do, which would be planted newly with the time, as calling home our exiled friends abroad that fled the snares of watchful tyranny, producing forth the cruel ministers of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, who, as it is thought by self and violent hands, took off her life. Oh, two big things there. One, we found out a little more definitively what happened to Lady Macbeth. She took her own life. And then, before that, he mentioned that he wants to call home our exiled friends abroad. This might include Donalbain, his brother, and Fleance, son of Banquo, among others. This, and what needful else that calls upon us, by the grace of grace, we will perform in measure, time, and place. So thanks to all at once and to each one, whom we invite to see us crowned at Scone. There's a flourish, doo, 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 and they exit. Scone is the place where the coronations took place in ancient Scotland, so that's where they're going to crown Malcolm. That's the end of the play. Thank you guys for watching these crazy videos, and I hope you guys enjoy your spring break.